Oh, he replaced me. Ma'am, ma'am. You asked for it. Yes, he replaced you for younger and better.
My ex-husband divorced me for cheating. I regret my decisions. He convinced me that he'd take me back, but left anyway. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I know what caused me to cheat. I thought I was above my ex-husband when I finished school and became a nurse. My ex-husband did decent throughout our marriage financially. He helped put me through school, and one would think a wife would be grateful, but I instead thought I was better than my ex-husband. My first 2 years as a traveling nurse, I made over 222K, basically 111K per year. I started looking at Seth like he wasn't doing enough. I was around surgeons and other doctors at work and spending weekends with my colleagues, then coming home to my ex-husband, Seth, who only earned 70K per year. I earned some scholarships for school and Seth paid the rest. Seth had the nerve to ask me to help put money down on a Dodge Ram that he wanted. I refused and told him he needed to do better. So Seth and I were married for 9 years total. The first 3 years, I was a stay-at-home wife. I was going through a lot. I decided I wanted to finish school, and I did. I was depressed before school, which is why Seth allowed me to stay home. I will be honest, prior to me graduating, I almost cheated, but I realized how great my ex-husband was. On days I was too tired and exhausted, Seth would have dinner prepped after working a full shift himself. He'd clean every weekend. That hit me when I was sitting in one of my professor's offices about cheat on my ex-husband. I stopped myself and I didn't. Once I got my first contract to travel a state over, I was always getting flirted with, not only by the doctors, but by everyone. Men at the gas station, convenience store, local cafes. It was constant every day, all day. I would tell my girlfriends about it, and they'd just tell me, "Well, girl, you are just that bish." I felt good hearing that. It gave me confidence, and I resented my ex-husband. I was disgusted going back home to him. There was just so much better outside, and I needed to sample it, at least. My husband discovered that I was having lunch with a doctor at one of the hospitals I worked at. He also discovered that I'd actually had sex with him on several occasions. The way Seth found out was because the idiot doctor called my actual phone instead of my work phone. My husband answered and asked the doctor to explain why he was calling his wife at midnight. He told my husband everything. I was so embarrassed and felt like crap. My ex-husband immediately told me we were getting a divorce. I begged him not to divorce me. I truly loved my ex-husband. I didn't want a divorce. I told him I'd do anything in the world. He told me to work locally only, but I refused to do that because it would have cut my salary down. Ultimately, I did, but I wish I'd chose a job that paid me less. He used this against me. I'll tell you how it bit me, but my ex-husband made us go to therapy. I agreed to therapy, and I was willing to do whatever it took to keep my ex-husband. We started going on therapy sessions. This was to last for 3 months, 3 times a month. The first session was brutal. Open communication exercises, discussing concerns openly, actively listening to one another, and sharing perspectives without interruption. Identifying unhealthy patterns, recognizing recurring arguments, negative communication habits, and emotional triggers, exploring past experiences, examining how childhood experiences or past relationships may be impacting the current relationship. Role-playing scenarios, practicing different ways of responding to conflict situations to develop better communication skills. I statement practice, learning to express personal needs and feelings using I statements to avoid blame. Couples assessments and questionnaires. Completing surveys to gain insights into relationship dynamics and areas for improvement. Goal setting. Defining clear and achievable goals for the relationship to work towards. Positive reinforcement exercises. focusing on appreciating and acknowledging each other's positive qualities. Important points to remember: tailored approach. A marriage counselor will tailor activities based on the unique needs and challenges of each couple. Focus on the present. While discussing past experiences might be necessary, the focus is usually on improving current communication and behaviors. Confidentiality. All discussions with the counselor are confidential to create a safe space for open communication. This was all in one session. I was exhausted, and I felt ganged up on because, well, I was the one who cheated. Outside of the therapy session, my husband and I were talking. He would demand me to do all these things for him just so he can get over it, and I was willing to do it. I cooked and cleaned every single day. He even made me mow the lawn and do yard work with him. I felt as if I wasn't allowed to ask him for anything, like, honey, pick me up this from the store, pick me up that from the store. Can you go and grab me a bottle of water from the fridge? I never felt like I could ask him for anything because, well, I felt like I was on punishment, and I had to make up for what I've done. I was willing to do that, but after a while it started to make me feel sick. I would physically feel ill every day, waking up. I had to go to work, then come home and clean and cook. I wasn't able to travel to the hospitals anymore and be a traveling nurse. I had to work locally. I did eventually agree to that, even though I didn't want to. I allowed him to do whatever he wanted to me sexually in the bedroom. Even if I wasn't up for it, I did owe him that. That's how I felt. This man still turned around and filed a divorce. He was a bit of a coward with how he did it, so he was supposed to be gone with his cousin on a cousin's trip, and he was going to be gone for 4 days. In those 4 days, that's when Seth had me served at our house. He actually moved out. I didn't even realize his closet was empty. He told me he was taking his desktop computer to his cousin's house because he was giving it to him to fix. That was all a lie. He was moving out of the freaking house and he had me serve divorce papers. He's such a coward. My friend kept telling me that I can get him for desertion. That actually fell through. It's not like he got in trouble for leaving or anything. I begged my ex-husband to stay with me. I didn't want to divorce. What was to come next rocked my world. So, like I said, I didn't want to stop being a traveling nurse because of the money, but I eventually found a hospital nearby that will pay me the same amount. So I took on that job, but I didn't realize my husband could divorce me and ask for alimony. That's what he did. So, at this new hospital, I started working at locally. I actually got paid more because I was doing a little more and I had gotten a new certification. I was working overnight, but I was getting paid big bucks. That all came to bite me in the butt. When my lawyer was telling me that my ex-husband wanted alimony, I laughed because I said, no way. He's a man. He can't get my money. That's not how this works. He's so silly. Was I wrong? Yes, I was. The judge, female, was not very happy with me. My husband painted a picture of him taking care of me throughout our marriage and me changing on him once I got a better job, which I will admit, it's true. But just hearing him say it really pissed me off because it just wasn't as bad as he tried to claim it to be. Like I was just as horrible person. I still loved him. He acted like I didn't love him anymore. I wanted to birth his child. I told him we should have a baby to make this all better again. We should actually become an actual family. He told me no and said go and fix dinner like I asked you to. He pretty much turned into a monster. He actually fell out of love with me. Here I am being ordered to pay alimony to a grown ash man. He is fully capable of taking care of himself. The alimony was only temporary. I made a full payment of $74,000 made out to him. I texted him and told him to go ahead and buy your new truck, loser. After our divorce, I was hurt, but I didn't want him to see that I was hurt. When I spotted him out with a younger woman, he broke my heart, and I went off and made a fool of myself in the restaurant. So, After our divorce, I drowned myself in work. I felt like I had to work more. Anyway, because I had to pay him that money, I would have loved to go on a vacation, had a divorce party with my friends, but I decided to drown myself with work. A lot of my friends were pissed off about that because the plan was for us to go to Mexico for a divorce party for me. But once I told everyone that I was kind of strapped for cash and I'd rather just pay him one big payment because I don't want him as a bill every month, none of my friends were willing to pay for me, so I didn't go. They actually went and took their trip to Mexico, just had fun without me. Anyway, one late night, 10:45 p.m. I had a break before I had to go back to work, and I decided I don't want to go to Applebees. This Applebees is near the hospital. Where I was working at, my ex-husband doesn't live near here, but he was over here with a young girl at Applebees. I walked in and I'm at my booth and I didn't even notice them. Until after a while, I ordered my food and I looked over and I see him. He's trying to cover his face. I waved at him. I didn't want any hard feelings, but then I noticed a girl comes and sits down. She gets back up out of her seat and leans over to kiss him. My thoughts were, who is this greatly shaped woman kissing my ex-husband? I get up and I walk over. I say, "Hey, ex-husband, how are you?" Seth just put his head down and shakes his head as if he's embarrassed. I look over at her. She says, "Hi, you must be Caitlin." I said, "Yes, I am, young woman. Isn't it past your bedtime?" That's when Seth stood up and told me to go away. I said, "No. Who is this young bish? You really steal $74,000 from me and use it to take this little young bish to Applebee's with. Where are you guys headed tomorrow, huh, Magic Mountain? I think Chuck E. Cheese is open late. Why don't you guys stop by there?" A few people that are there are staring. This one group, young group, started pulling out their phones saying, "Fight, fight, fight." I got escorted out of Applebee's. I didn't even get to eat my meal. I sat in the car outside and I cried. I cried my eyes out. Seth replaced me with a younger woman. He took 74 grand from me and he's using it on this young girl. I was so heartbroken. I wanted to go back in there and grab my ex-husband, pull him out of that booth. He didn't need to be with her. She was just gonna break his heart. He doesn't deserve that. I've done enough. I wanted to make things right with. So I tried one last time. I've spoken with Seth's cousin, female, about if I was still invited to the wedding. She told me absolutely. She told me this months ago, so I decided to show up at the wedding, even though knowing Seth's going to be there. I'd hope and pray he wasn't going to bring that young girl there. The wedding was set 3 weeks after the Applebee's incident. I hit the gym every single day. I wanted to tone up my body and I went on a keto diet. I actually dropped a lot of water away and you can start to see a lot of muscle in my body. I wanted to look hot just in case he brought that young bimbo. I was going to get my husband back. At the actual wedding, I did see Seth. I tried speaking to him and trying to get next to him, but he kept avoiding me. But I know he noticed me. I know I looked good. I made sure of it. We get to the wedding reception. My thing was I was going to have some drinks and I was going to scoot over and talk with him. I go over to his table and that young bimbo is there. She's at the freaking reception? I was so pissed off. I know I couldn't start a scene at his cousin's wedding. His cousin and I are actually good friends. I still talk to her till this day. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just kept knocking them back. It was open bar and they did not water down these drinks. He was dancing with his young bimbo girlfriend and eventually she went to sit down. I guess she got tired. The young bish couldn't keep up and I saw Seth still on the dance floor. I decided this was my chance and I go over and I start dancing. I get in front of him and I grab him and wrap my arms around his neck. I start dancing with him when she smiled at me. I thought I had him. We were dancing and dancing. We were kind of hidden in the crowd, so Miss Young Buck didn't see us. All of a sudden, Seth pushed me off and says, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" I said, "What? You were just happy." Seth says he didn't even realize it was me. He had drunk a bit too much too. He didn't even recognize me. I mean, I did put in 3 hard weeks of training and a strict diet for myself. kind of made me feel good. I tried to wrap my arms around his neck again, and he pushed me off and he ran away, went straight back to his table with his girlfriend and grabbed her. I was pissed off, but I knew I could not make a big scene here. I wasn't going to embarrass his cousin. This was her day, and I wasn't going to ruin it. That's why I wiped off my hands and decided that Seth is never coming back to me. I lost a man, and I loved the man that cared about me, the man that helped me get through school, the man that loved me unconditionally. He was now gone. He replaced me with a different woman. I was exhausted. I didn't want to fight anymore. If you didn't want to be with me, then he didn't want to be with me. I was going to take this new hot bod and give it to somebody else. That's exactly what I did that night. I kissed the husband and bride, wished them well, and told them that I left the gift in the area that it was supposed to be in, and I left. I called a friend, someone that I hadn't dealt with in a few months. He was excited to come over. I hadn't talked to him in a few months because, well, I wasn't that impressed with him in the bedroom. We slept with each other one time, and he was surprised that I called. I just needed someone to come over and just make me feel good. That's what he did. He was actually better this time. I've decided that I don't want to get married. Now I hear on your channel a lot that men are saying they never want to get married again, or they don't want to have a relationship. Well, some women feel that way as well, and I am one of them. I never want to get married again. I don't even want a relationship. I like having a rotation, a few guys, one that's good at this, one that's good at that, and the other one is good for something else. And I like it. I make great money. I have my own place. I don't have to worry about anything. I have the car that I want. I don't care if I don't have children. I'm okay with it. A lot of women feel this way nowadays, not just men. We can make our own money now. We don't need men to take care of us. We can take care of ourselves. Have a boyfriend maybe, but he has to make significantly more money than I do, and maybe have some type of fame about him, some sort of popularity. You just got to have more now to get my attention. I'm just not going to give myself to anybody. It's not worth it. It hurts too bad when it ends. I look at it as protecting my heart. I stopped asking Seth's cousin about what Seth is up to. I don't really care anymore. She's willing to give me a full scoop. She used to voluntarily tell me things about him and his new girlfriend, but I told her to stop telling me. I didn't want to know. Kind of hurt too bad. I actually recently went on a trip with her. We went to Switzerland. It was amazing. We had a great time with her and some of my other friends. I actually fell out with some other ones that went to Mexico without me. I knew they weren't my friends. Anyway, I hope this story from a female's perspective is good for your channel. Have a nice life.
Oh, he replaced me. Ma'am. You asked for it. Yes, he replaced you for younger and better. He's happy. Leave him alone. He must have been drunk on that dance floor. He didn't even recognize you. He's just having a good time, and he just throws you off of him like, oh, no, get off of me, woman. Ew. He ran right back to his girlfriend. Listen, leave the man alone. Leave him alone. You messed up, man. It's so unfortunate. You know, that 70K was everything when you weren't making the money. You were a stay-at-home wife. You know, you weren't working. You dropped out of college. You know what I mean? You dropped out and he took you in and took care of you. Then you worked and went to school and he helped pay for it. And then now he's nothing to you. He doesn't work hard enough. He's not enough man for me. You're cheating on him with doctors and who else you cheated on him with? Probably several other people. Those guys at the convenience store you were talking about. You probably was just cheating with everybody. You know, he only found out about the doctor because the doctor was dumb enough to text your phone or call your phone. And he spilled the tea to him. He told him everything. That's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate. I don't feel bad for you. I wish he got more money out of you. He deserves it. Unfortunate, guys. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. If you want to send in a story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That's truestorynation@gmail.com. I'm going to catch you guys at the next one.